African day, but years and years ago, light poured over the African plains at night too. Big round moon, almost as bright as the sun, warmed the jungle animals as they slept.
None of the animals were scared of the dark or frightened of the cold, for they knew nothing of it.
One evening, moon rose slowly over Africa. As he did so, Bat stretched his wings and looked up at the golden sky.
He had been given a very important job to do. Bat's job was to take a secret present for Moon in a basket. Bat took the basket in his mouth and started off for the moon.
He felt very proud of himself that he hadn't peeked in the basket, but if he had, he would have known the basket was filled with darkness.
After flying a long time, Bat's tummy began to growl and his friends began to ache. He saw his favorite bird in the fir trees below and decided to stop for a bite to eat. He placed the basket carefully on the ground and flew up into the fir trees. Some of the jungle lions on the way home from a hunt saw the lonely basket as they walked by. We have caught nothing on our hunt. Look at this big, lovely basket. Surely there's something delicious inside there, purred. Dad saw them pawing at the basket and flew down as fast as he could to stop them. But he was too late. The basket rolled over and a cold, dark cloud poured out of the basket and filled the golden sky. Darkness had come to the African night. Dad sleeps over. Dad sleeps all day now. He must spend his night flying through the sky trying to catch bits of darkness for me. Although he darts from here to there, catching as much as he can never fill the basket before morning. This is why the bat must fly at night now.
Next story comes from India. It's called The People Who Hugged Trees.
There was once a simple village at the edge of a great desert. The houses there were built with mud and smoothed cleanly by the hands of a gentle people. Each morning on simple roads in mud wood, standing for doorways, smiling out at the sea of trees or smiling mud. The girl would stretch out to kiss her mother and run away into the forest with a jar of water. She was taking it to pour upon a young Ridgeview tree that she was for her rear yard.
As the years passed, the tree grew a round, thick trunk that felt just right for hugging. Amrita Devi loved to feel the bark against her cheek and knew that under its feathered shades, she was safe from the desert hot sun.
One could often find her sitting with her back up against the tree, eating its fruit and watching the peacocks stroll by. It soon seemed to the villagers that Amrita Devi and the tree were one and the same.
Years later, in her own little mud house, Amrita Devi was playing her young son. She was laughing at the way he clapped his hand at a pesky pond. Suddenly, she heard a terrible sound. It was the sound of trees being chopped down all around her. The Maharaja, from his great marble palace, had ordered his soldiers to cut down the trees surrounding the village, for he needed firewood for his new kiln.
Amrita ran out of the mud house, calling to the frightened villagers to stop the soldiers. Soon the entire village was holding hands and circling a grove of trees.
But the soldiers soon broke through, and Amrita Devi held tight to the tree. And her tree was the first to fall. And Amrita Devi held tight to the sweet tree and gave her years of happiness. When the villagers saw her love for the dead tree, they too wrapped their bodies around the standing trees. The soldiers, no longer able to cut, ran to tell the tale of the Maharaja. Amazed at the villagers' great love, the Maharaja swore never to cut another of their trees again. Today, in place of Amrita Devi's lovely Ridgeview tree, stands a small temple in honor of the villagers' courage. Peacocks still call within the forest, looking for Amrita in the shade of the lost tree.
Our next story comes from Jamaica. It is about a smart little spider named Anansi. Have you heard of this spider? There are many stories written about Anansi. You see if you've heard this particular folk tale.
Once upon a time, on a colorful island, lived the strongest tiger anyone has heard tell of. He was so powerful and regal that the animals on the island were quick to name him king. As king, the tiger was a neighbor of all things. He named the lilies tiger lilies, the moss tiger moss, and he was everything of them all. The island stories passed down from generation to generation. He named tiger stories.
Anansi was a spider on the island. He was a tiny little thing. He wasn't poisonous.
He wasn't big and hairy. He was just Anansi, the spider whom no one paid much attention to. He was getting tired of being a nobody.
Anansi decided that maybe the tiger can get up and become a somebody. Anansi knew he wasn't powerful, but he did know he was smart.
Because he was smart, he thought the tiger could name something after him. Yes, spider lilies or spider moss would be nice, thought Anansi. One night, as the island animals were sitting around the great fire listening to tiger stories, Anansi decided to talk to King Tiger. He thought it would be nice for the stories to be named spider stories.
He crawled from tree to tree till he was right over King Tiger's head. When the stories finished, he lowered his line very slowly on top of the king. He popped right under King Tiger's back and nudged over to the King Tiger's ear. King Tiger squeaked Anansi into the King Tiger's ear. I have something to ask you.
What do you want, Anansi? Roared the tiger. All the other animals, one by one, came over closer to see what poor little Anansi dared to ask the powerful King Tiger.
I do love the tiger stories, speaks Anansi, but I was wondering if you might consider naming them after me. I thought spider stories sounded nice. The animals' mouths dropped open. They couldn't believe that Anansi, weak little Anansi, would ask the King Tiger for such an important thing.
Well, I do believe Anansi thinks he's special, cried the brown monkey. Began the animals hold their bellies and laugh. The cuckoos were
snake. If Anansi can trap the sea creature, he shall have his wish, roared the Tiger King.
Anansi saw it hot and watching the tiger saw it hot. The animals sunk into the forest. The animals were sent for Anansi and but it made it
Next day, Anansi crawled along the tree. He worked his way through the branches until he reached the path of the bamboo walls where the great snake was sunning himself. Anansi dropped down, 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 in front of the snake. The snake opened his mouth, but Anansi stopped with a cry.
I knew it, cried Nancy. Look how short you are. Now I have surely lost my bet for sure. Short? How can you say that? I'm the longest thing on the island, hissed the irritated snake.
No, it looks to me like the bamboo trees are longer. I bet the monkey that you will lunch longer by sitting out that you want. Oh well, goodbye, sighed Nancy. No, wait, I am much longer, hissed the great snake. Come and see, as he crawled over to the longest bamboo tree.
Tie my tail to the bottom and I will stretch up to the top, said the snake. Nancy did as he was told. The snake stretched further and further up the tree. But he could not reach the top.
Oh, ow, cried the stretching snake. Come on, snake, stretch, help me win, cried Nancy. The great snake's painful cries were so loud that all the animals came running and crying to see what was going on. Excited by the competition, they cried along with Anansi. You can do it. Stretch your hardest. The great snake pulled its body upward along the tree. Ow! Cried the great snake. Here, I'll tie your tongue to the tree. Then you will reach the top for sure, said Anansi. He crawled up the tree and tied the snake's middle to it. Come on, come on, come on, roared the crocodiles to the stretching snake. The snake stretched one more time. Just as the snake was about to reach the top, Anansi tied his head to the tree. The great snake was trapped. Again, the animals' mouths dropped open, but this time in admiration for Anansi. The cuckoos and the hummingbirds flew over to the king tiger to tell him all about the great spider. Tiger stories were soon changed to spider stories. And Anansi was always known as after the smartest old spider on the island.
called the river dragons.
Once long ago, there lived four beautiful dragons in four great oceans. Their names were Black Dragon, Pearl Dragon, Long Dragon, and Yellow Dragon.
Each was such a brilliant color that when they flew and played together, they made singing trails in the sky that looked like delicious candy lollipop.
And play they did. Living in separate seas was lonely, and they would often meet just below the sun to see who could win as they raced in circles around the green earth.
One day, just as she was winning her third race, the yellow dragon stopped and looked down at the earth below her. Why, look at the earth. It's no longer green as it used to be. It is dry and brown, she exclaimed.
The others gathered around her as they all looked down in wonder. As they flew closer, they could see the people of the earth. They were crying and holding their hands up to the sky.
Some were mothers with hungry faces, some were farmers milling over their root crops. Please pray, one tiny child. Please bring water to my father's rice field.
Black Dragon's eyes filled with tears, and her heart sank. You must help them, she cried.
We must insure Pearl Dragon, the Jade Emperor would tie our tails together if he found out. He holds the power of the people, not us. They looked down again and all descended, and their hearts were terribly heavy. Suddenly the tiny child seemed to see them. His eyes lit up, and across his little face spread the most beautiful smile that any of them had ever seen. You have come to help us, haven't you? Cried the child's sweet voice. Black Dragon looked up at the cloudless sky that held no promise of rain. He then flew high above the others and called to them below. The Jade Emperor will not bring water to the people, we must return. Seeing the child's lovely smile and hearing the Black Dragon's brave words, they quickly agreed. They then flew high above their own blue sea and filled their mouths with water. They flew leaps and bounds over the giant earth, sprinkling water upon the thirsty rice fields. saw and heard of how his people now love the great dragons.
He grew so jealous that he left his palace in the sky to speak with the mountain god. Oh, God of mountains, confer of your heaviest and tallest mountains to me.
I must imprison the dragons before the love of my people grows too strong for them, said the Jade Emperor. At that moment, a thundering was heard.
The dragons looked up to see a great mountain falling down on top of each of them. The mountains crashed to earth, trapping the dragons under their great weight. Unable to escape, the dragons were fearful that the Jade Emperor would stop the rain.
So they each created a lovely river of flowing water that would flow over the backs of their mountains. These rivers would forever refresh the rice fields and the cups of thirsty children.
Dragon's River is born, the first mighty drops of rivers of time. Black Dragon's River is a highland stream. Pearl Dragon's River is named Zeus Land.
The Long Dragon's river's name is Changjiang. And the Yellow Dragon's river is called Tongjiang. These mighty rivers still flow across China, watering the fields of the happy people.
That concludes our show. How about a nice round of applause?